Travel and Things, in association with Rugged Wear, Real People, Real Clothing, Real Solutions, presents In Conversation With. I'm your host, David Batsoffen, and today my guest from the African Bush Company is Massimo Rebuzzi. Massi, how are you doing?
Good morning, Dave. Yeah, I'm well, thanks. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Where does today find you?
I'm in the beautiful Cape Town area,
Right.
and it's a bit cloudy outside, but it's nice to be here.
Great. Now, African Bush Company, people seem to be looking to do walks rather than drives at the moment. If you go to a lodge, they will often say, we'll go out on a morning drive, we'll come back for breakfast, and then we'll go out on a walk. Are the walks now becoming the feature rather than the drives?
You know, it's interesting, David, because what usually happened before at lodges is you'll do a morning drive and an afternoon drive, and the walk would just be a quick after breakfast stroll.
Yeah.
You know, so it would kind of complement the safari. What's happening, and by no means is walking safaris new. They've been around for ages. What's happening now is, I think people have realized that the walking safari, whether it be a trail, a 3-4 night trail, primitive trail or backpack trail, or whether it be a lodge-based walking experience, it has its own draw, you know, besides game drives. So I think a lot of people are focusing on that. It's active, so you're not sitting in the vehicle the whole time. You're moving around, and you know, you focus on a lot of the smaller aspects of nature, and it's just more intimate. So people have been really drawn to that, especially the last few years.
And what you mentioned primitive trails and backpacking trails. What is the difference between the two? I have visions of primitive as you go out with one pair of underwear, a shirt and pants, and that's it. You're gone for 4 days, and you come back smelly, but with lots of good memories.
That's it. Well, look, taking one pair of underwear is certainly optional, although not recommended, you know. So the primitive trails have been around for a while. There's a few companies that have labeled it as such. They really started in Mfulweni Game Reserve, if I'm stand to be corrected there. And what primitive means essentially is taking the bare basics on a multi-night trail and sleeping in the open. So you will take necessities, you will take some food, you will take water carrying devices, bottles and bladders, a backpack, and maybe a change of clothes. And you will go out with 2 guides in a wilderness area and cover distance and stay in different camps each night. The primitive aspect now, when we do kind of market or describe a trail, the main aspect of that is sleeping out in the open, which you know, it intimidates a lot of people, which is fair.
Look, the first time, I mean, I've been in the bush for years, but the first time I did an overnight with one of the training providers, and you sleep out in the open and it's just a sleeping bag, and you've got leopards grunting on both or sawing on both sides of you. It's quite a scary experience, but at the end of the day, when the sun comes up, you go, that was a night to remember.
That's it.
Yeah,
exactly. So you've got your mattress, you've got your sleeping bag, and you're under the stars. Man, I can't describe what it's like.
Yeah.
You will wake up in the middle of the night and look up, and you just got this Milky Way, you know, above you. It's just absolutely stunning. Where the traditional backpack trails, let's say of some of the products at Kruger National Park, will be tent based. So you will carry a tent, you will set up a tent, which is also nice because the primitive trails, you have to do night watch for an hour, usually an hour and a half each. And that can be up at 1 in the morning till 2. So your night's rest is broken up, but it's exciting, you know. Being too comfortable doesn't allow one growth and doesn't allow one to gather potent memories to cherish. You can certainly when you're comfortable, have amazing memories and a relaxed time. But for some reason, these primitive trails, when you cover distance with a heavy backpack, you sleep outside, you dig for water in a riverbed, having a little bit of discomfort potentially could add a lot more growth personally, and have a lot more memories to cherish. You know, you always remember the tough times.
Yeah, for sure.
Not saying it's primitive, you know, it's not tough, but having a little bit of less comfort than a lodge-based trail certainly makes for a memorable experience.
Massey, you mentioned carrying your own backpack and that type of thing. How fit do your guests have to be on these trails?
Look, that's a good question. It gets asked frequently before someone books a trail. How much, what's the distance we cover per day? How heavy is the backpack? You do need some sort of fitness level. However, you don't have to be an Ironman or Ironwoman or, you know, do CrossFit every day. The backpack can be anywhere from 8 kilograms to 15 kilograms. Depending on how much food you bring. And usually people bring too much food and how much water. The guide's backpack, my backpack's usually 20 kilograms to 25 kilograms.
Right.
The guides have to carry a bit more equipment, first aid kits. But the thing about it is we assess the guests and we kind of make that trail and adapt that trail to their strengths and weaknesses. So if they want to cover great distances, we can.
Okay, so you're sort of walking to the weakest person in that particular trail.
Exactly. I mean, if the whole group is very athletic and we want to cover distance, we certainly can. But if the group wants to focus more on the smaller things and take it easy and have lots of breaks, we adapt accordingly. Yeah. So it's not easy going in that regard.
And then I suppose, like anything else, and when it comes to these sort of adventure things, it's like scuba diving. You've got to, if you're going to learn to scuba dive, you've got to choose your dive instructor carefully, because you're putting your life into his hands. And it's the same when you go out on primitive trails or on trails of any sort, is you've got to put your life into the hands of the guide or guides that are taking you through the adventure. How does one choose? I mean, do you ask for photographs like a Tinder, you know, primitive trails, Tinder for primitive trails, and you choose your guide by what they look like? Or what do guests need to be aware of when choosing a company to walk with?
I think it's hard these days because Google's vast. So you're searching online and you get a lot of things popping up, you know. How do you choose? I like that idea, by the way, Trail Tinder. We can just swipe. So I'm going to think about that. But, you know, what's best, what I find is best is word of mouth.
Yeah.
And also recommendations and reviews. So there's two ways to go about this. One is to book through, let's say, a game reserve like Kruger National Park or Hlifui and Folosi. When you book through these game reserves, they will provide a guide, you know, and the guide should be competent and legal.
Yeah.
You know, it's falling under that umbrella. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to book through a private trails company. Now, these people, such as myself and colleagues, specialize in trails, and you will have a description of the guide either on the website or with the info package emailed to you. And these guides are specialized in trails, you know, and will have a decade or two of experience, and this is their forte. Yeah. This is their passion. And so you know you're in good hands usually when you book with a trails company. Not saying you won't be in good hands with a national park or anything like that. Absolutely not. But it can be tricky to choose. If one is worried or quite concerned about the safety aspect, there's many blogs as to how these trails are run. And there's quite a few very experienced, competent guides out there that will make sure you have a safe experience, you know. A good track record is key. So obviously if there's no incidents with any guide or the company, that's a good aspect to look at, you know.
Yeah, because you want to walk in and walk out without making too much disturbance. A colleague of both yours and mine taught me that, saying that you walk into a sighting and leave the sighting and the animal mustn't even know that you've been there. You mustn't change
Absolutely.
behavior. They must just go about their daily business without any immediate interaction with you. That's not the object of the exercise.
And that's safe, because if the animal doesn't even know you're there, it can't be dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
The way we walk is like we don't have rifles. So when I walk in the bush, I'm making decisions. Should I cross this thicket? Should I cross this river? What should I do in this situation? Can I get closer to this animal, for instance? Like I don't have a rifle, like I don't have a weapon. Can I get in and out of the situation safely?
Yeah.
Like this weapon, rifle, whatever, doesn't even exist. And that's how we make our decisions, you know.
And that's, people don't realize. They see somebody, as I joked with you before we pressed record, they see somebody in a tight shirt, short pants that are too short, a big Bowie knife like Crocodile Dundee, and a huge rifle, something that you can, you know, like a sniper weapon, a 50 cal that can kill an elephant at 14 kilometers. And they go, that's the person I need to be walking with. No, there's a reason they're carrying a 50 cal, is because they don't know what they're doing, probably, and they want to be sure that they can stop animals in their tracks, and that's not what you want. You want a glorious memory to take away. You want the animals to be safe. You want you and your colleagues to be safe. That's what it is at the end of the day.
That's right. Yeah, you're so right. Times have changed.
Yeah,
we're not rolling up our sleeves anymore. We don't have large machetes hanging off our backpacks. It's gotten very holistic. There's very much there's a deep connection happening, which people are slowly realizing. So the guides are starting to become more balanced with that. You know, we're offering yoga trails, which would have never been done in the 90s.
So then, Massi, the only bullets that you're carrying is a Nutri bullet. Is that correct?
100%. Yeah, you know, I don't even carry bullets anymore. I just they're just for show.
Is there a season for walking, or can you walk all year round?
So you can walk all year round, but we usually stop from beginning of December to end of Feb.
Okay.
And you know, in Limpopo and KZN, in Zululand, where we usually walk, even in Botswana, that's the rainy season proper.
Yeah.
So we're going to get rain almost every afternoon. It's going to be extremely hot. And in terms of mosquitoes and just being a bit more comfortable, that's a season to avoid. You can, by all means, walk during that time. But just know that you're going to get wet, and the bush is going to be thick. The grass is going to be, I'm not the tallest guy, so I've got to kind of, you know, very careful walking through that elephant grass. But yeah, so best time is winter. So I would say from April to August is the prime season for walking. Not much rain, clear skies, it's nice and cool. The bush has opened up, and for game viewing, it's awesome because there's less water in the field, which means the few water sources, being a pan or a river, will attract a lot more animals. And if you just sit there,
they will come to you. Massi, how do people, if people who have watched this think, I'd like to walk with that man, how do they get hold of you? How do they find out more about African Bush Company?
So we do have a website, www.africanbushco.com. And we're also on Instagram and all the social media platforms. So we do have a website. It's www.africanbushco.com. And we're on all the social media platforms as well. Probably Instagram is the busiest. So African Bush Company is our tag on Instagram. And you're welcome to follow us. All the updates are there. And we can send you what packages we offer. We also can kind of custom make trails. And we're happy to answer questions and guide you in the right direction, so to speak.
Literally guide you in the right direction. Massi, thank you so very much for chatting to me. I've been talking to Massimo Rebuzzi from African Bush Company, and we've been talking about trails walking. This has been In Conversation With. I'm David Batsoff, and join me again next time when we have more interesting guests for you. Massi, once again, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, David. Great to be here.